And we're live.
Woo!
Shauna, where are you? Like geographically?
I am in Grimsby, Ontario.
Oh, that's not okay. Because when you said that you were on a podcast in Poland yesterday, I thought there was a chance you were in Poland yesterday.
Well,
because you heard that when I asked you, like, you were in Poland? Because there's a chance.
Chance. I know, it's true. I'm definitely in the air almost as much as I'm on the ground. And, but no, today I'm at home.
Where have you been this year? Geographically?
I've been to Singapore, Malaysia, Iceland, Norway, New Delhi, India, Texas, New York, a bunch of times. And then like around here, I went to Seattle, Vancouver, LA a couple of times. Anywhere else? Oh, I was in Germany. Oh, Ireland. Just there. I can't even remember. I have a lot of really weird currency in my wallet, if that's any indicator.
Is that like 20 countries you've just named? It's only July.
I know.
I'm trying to think how many places I've been.
Well, I'm thinking like within this year, which isn't like, I'm thinking of like actual year, not a calendar year. So that sort of started in like September.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now.
So, and you had some wild meetings. You met with some very influential people. And by influence, we don't mean like Instagram followers. You've met some powerful people.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how it really happens. And people always laugh at me when I say that, but I get invited to these events and these meetings and I connect with people. And and sometimes they're crazy, like, as, royalty or, high level government officials or, we went to the Nobel Peace Ceremony. So obviously there was, amazing people there and like, just, incredible. I don't want to like take any credit for those meetings in a way because I feel like all of them have been gifts to me in a lot of ways. And there's so many people who are truly generous and kind in my life that have brought me into their circles and their sphere of influence. And I've been, excited enough to, expand on it, but I don't know. It's crazy. I look at my life and I'm like, holy smokes, like what happened? So even I'm like, what? But it's fun. It's definitely exciting.
I believe you had a meeting booked with the leader of India.
Yeah, a leader. Yeah, and
like the leader. I don't know what their title is, if it's president or prime minister or.
Yeah, president. However, when we were there was a terrorism attack, and so that got sidelined, obviously due to more
priorities.
Of course, I was not worried about that, but yeah, I know, it's crazy.
And then you recently had a meeting with the Dutchess of York?
I did, yes. A couple of meetings, actually.
Fergie? No, sorry.
Well, that's her, colloquial name, and people sort of know her as that. And she even told us that Will.i.am calls her the original Fergie, which I thought was funny. Sarah Ferguson or Dutchess of York. And then I also met with the Duke of York, in passing with him. But yeah. Crazy things happen.
And you met with Maclemore?
Yeah, Maclemore and Ryan Lewis and Sir Mix-a-Lot, which was also very exciting. So a man that we traveled around with, his son is Ryan Lewis. So his name's Scott. And they were doing a fundraiser for his wife's charity, Ryan Lewis's mom, out in Seattle. And I got to go, and Maclemore and Ryan Lewis performed, as well as Sir Mix-a-Lot, and they did a meet and greet and got to connect up with them. So that was pretty exciting.
Were you there? Were you there for the charity, or you went for the concert?
So I went for both because I think it's an amazing charity. So what happened is Ryan Lewis's mom contracted AIDS from a blood transfusion in the 80s. unfortunately. And she didn't find out till after she'd had 3 more children or 2 more children or something.
Good
and
job.
then she found, I know, I think she found out in like 1991, and they traced it back to like a transfusion she had in like 86. Anyway, so she's alive though, and she's an amazing woman. And so they built a charity around building AIDS clinics in various places where there's high prevalence of that disease around the world. And so, what a worthy charity! And so I thought I'd go and support it, and support my friend, and also have a really fun time. It was probably one of the most fun nights I've had all year.
And so, you hosted Gary V for a 3,000 person event in Toronto?
There. And I also hosted him for an 800 person event the year before. Yep. And Casey Neistat. Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. Gary was amazing. He's just truly the salt of the earth in a lot of ways. He's just so giving and kind and down to earth. And he has a very kind of like brash persona, and I think he likes it that way in a lot of ways. But he's also just this like incredibly heart-centered, and I kind of use that term loosely because it's a bit cheesy, but he really is. He's fed into my career and supported me in ways that have been so meaningful. And I know it's probably things that are easy for him to do, but it doesn't matter to me. He, was kind enough to do them, and so,
right.
Yeah, big Gary fan.
And now you're friends with D-Rock as well, because you haven't booked.
Yeah, D-Rock. So D-Rock is coming to speak at Haste and Hustle, and he hasn't really officially spoke anywhere from a stage, and he's not doing a speech. He's doing like a moderated interview on stage with this guy Syed, who he collaborates with on a clothing line called Wildhood, and I'm so excited. And so I've gotten to be friendly with him. He's just, I can't even explain just the goodness in his heart. Like there's something just so almost like childlike. You know what I mean by that? Like no evil or depravity, just goodness and sweetness. And I don't know, I adore him.
So how are you getting these meetings? and in case anyone wants to approach this from a real estate standpoint, I enjoy having guests on that don't just do real estate investing, because entrepreneurship lessons, business lessons, networking lessons are transferable across industry. So, for example, if someone wants to get a big meeting with someone that's, say high up at a company, even though they have deep pockets, like you're getting in meetings with those types of people. Like you're naming up people like, remember like Brad and Angelina would get these types of meetings, right? The leader of India, Dutchess of York, flying across the continent to a Maclemore concert, right?
I know. People ask me this every day. Like this is probably the most common question I get, and I genuinely think it's just an honesty. Like I approach everything with like sincerity and honesty. And so, like for instance, when I first requested Gary to come speak at my event, I had no company. Like I hadn't even registered a business, let alone incorporated. I had no money, and I had an idea that I wanted to have an event, and he was the headliner. Like that is it. And I wrote this.
Feel the dreams, eh?
I literally did think that about that.
Vision. Oh, this is law of attraction. You attracted Gary V to Canada, Niagara Falls for an 800 person event. Got it. Okay. Step one.
I wrote him this letter because you have to, you reach out to their agents and whatever, and then you have to fill out this paperwork. And in the paperwork, you have to describe why you want the person, right? And so I just wrote this like very honest, like, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. I know deep down that I'm like an entrepreneur, and I want to support entrepreneurs, and I want to do something big in my area. And I don't know, like, I think there was just this genuine sort of scrappy honesty to it. I don't even know, because like, I can't remember what I wrote. I just know I got him. And
you still have the letter somewhere, right?
Well, it's funny. Someone asked me about that recently, and I know I do because I emailed it to the agent, so I got to go look that up. But then I also
just reuse it.
Yeah.
You want Obama next time? You want George W? I don't know.
It's true. Well, it's
Dalai Lama.
And he also had Casey Neistat. And Casey even said to me, he's like, Shauna, he's like, your event's awesome. Like, he was really happy. But he's like, how did you get both Gary and I here together? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no offense. Like, he's just curious. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, it's really hard to book us. And I said, oh, like, I got, okay. I said, I didn't know that. And he said, yeah, like, I get requests probably like 10 or 15 a day. And I only do like maybe a couple a month. And then he's like, Gary gets as many, if not more. And he does more, but he's still way less than what he actually gets. And I said, oh, I had no idea. I said, I just never knew it was hard. And I remember I told that to somebody recently. Actually, one of Gary's team members was asking me about this because they were looking at doing some content around this story. And he's like, I love that. Like, you just did it because you didn't know it was hard. Yeah. And I think sometimes we spend so much time imagining, what something is supposed to be like, or what we think the process is going to be, and we make it into something that it's not. And really, it's just a matter of filling out paperwork. Now, that means I've been trying to get Elon Musk forever, and there's no way that's happening. I don't know. So, I mean, it doesn't always work, but I think sometimes we do tend to like blow things out of proportion in our mind because we think it's like this grand thing, when really, I think it's just about being honest and sharing that vision and that passion with people. And if that resonates with them, they'll come and support you if they can,
Wow.
I don't know. I just...
You need to work on my vision. Here, let me just briefly share with you my vision. Because I mentioned this to Corey yesterday on my podcast, was, my show is all about, I want everyone to make more money. I think generally, everyone works too hard. Everyone is too stressed. We could all benefit from having more money, especially if we can work less for it. Yeah. Right? And that's what I want for every attendee to my event, everyone who listens to the podcast, anyone watching this Facebook Live. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my vision.
That's good. Like, I think if you can have a vision, and I think yours is like this, where you're trying to serve others first mm-hmm. and create a better world, mm-hmm. And someone said this to me yesterday, you're creating a movement and then a business. Mm-hmm. And I never saw it that way. Like, when you're starting your business or when you're starting a project, you don't necessarily have that foresight to be like, oh, yes, I did all these things in this very strategic and laid out way, and I had this beautiful vision. Oftentimes the vision shifts as you're doing it. Because when I first started it, I wanted to have an impact on the Niagara region where I live. Because I'm like, people don't come here to do business. They come here for wine and waterfalls. And I was like, there's so much business opportunity here. There's an opportunity zone in the U.S. for Canadians who want to open American subsidiaries to, there's all this like tax incentives for people to work here, and you're close to the border. So there's, it's really great. And there's a really nice business community, and it's great. So that was my original purpose. I wanted to bring Gary here and do this big business event and draw business people in from outside of the region mm-hmm. to see how great it is and impact on the region. And that was my original vision. Now that's shifted over the past 2 years because now I'm super clear on what it is, and I don't think it'll shift really that much more, but who knows. But now I'm super clear on literally just serving and supporting the entrepreneurial community, mostly startups in mid-stage, to grow and scale and access the resources they need so that they don't have to struggle as much. And that so the vision's going to shift. And I think when you are doing something, you have to be a little bit open to that change as you grow into who you are and as you grow into your ideas and as opportunity presents itself. So I don't know. It's not always a super clear road right off the bat. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. I don't know if you realize, but at no time did you talk about making money.
Yeah, no, it never was.
So you made lots of money, right? Because, the funny thing is, from the outside looking in, lots of people think you made lots of money. They count the heads, they count what they know what you sold tickets for, and then people underestimate costs.
Right, and tell you this, like we lost a ton of money in the first year because we were new at it and we were a bit too idealistic and we just didn't have all the knowledge we needed to have to do everything right.
Right.
And
so just to clarify, that you lost, and that's before you even paid yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you it's like yeah.
Oh yeah, like I'm like still paying it off to give you that for instance. Like it's taken me, we're close, but we're still getting there, right? And we still have outstanding bills. And but the second year, so what happened though is Gary then offered to come back and do a second event with me pro bono, and that's when we did it in Toronto. And we had 3,000 people almost. And, like that's when it became very successful with his support. And that was truly a blessing. And so then what we did is we paid back almost all of our debt. So we still didn't really make any money because we were paying back the year before. And so most of the money I make for personal expenses is through client work that I do. I plan client events. Mm-hmm. And Haste and Hustle is like my side hustle that takes up all my time. But I mean, no, that's not true. But I mean, I have a number of clients, including yourself. We're planning that event with Grant Cardone. Mm-hmm. And these are things I do. I have a couple of, financial firms that I do work with and a cosmetics company. And so I plan those events mm-hmm. and generate a modest living. but the thing is that I see the profit and I see our potential for Haste and Hustle. Just kind of like we're still in that build, but we're very close to being profit positive, and that's just part of growing a company. And I know people see mm-hmm. differently from me, and especially with all the traveling and stuff I do. I mean, most of the travel I do is on other people's dime, like because I'm traveling with clients, like they're sending me places or taking me places, or I don't know, some of it's not, but or it's for a very specific purpose related to my business.
I'm probably like your poorest client. I think I've given you a ride once.
You bought me your lunch once. You gave me some. No, you're not. That's not true. Most of my firms are, yes, they're big, financial. Actually, you know what? You're not. I can say that for sure.
Bottom two.
I don't have that many clients, to be fair. I try and stick to a few core. I got a lot to do. Anyway.
Are you excited to be hosting Grant? Doing our event with Grant?
I'm so excited, actually. The more we work on it, and now I kind of had always planned it. So once Haste and Hustle was done, which was supposed to be a couple of weeks ago, then I was going to throw all my energy into this, and so now it's kind of rounded that turn. So we did end up postponing the event with Richard Branson, and it's been awesome to be able to do that. And, and then now so now I'm in that position now where I have more time and I can focus on it. And that's when I get really excited about these events. So, I think having Grant Cardone is going to be awesome. I think the event itself, not just Grant Cardone, like I actually, when you went through the whole agenda with me, and I know it's not public yet, but I've seen it and it's awesome. Like I think people are genuinely going to learn some really, really powerful information. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that ties back into like why I always do my big events, because I love having impact on people in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And so even though this is your event and I'm helping plan it, I get excited because I know that you're going to have great impact. And
that's the plan.
And I get to be a small part of that. So I am.
I'm a big really part of it. We wouldn't have gotten Grant with it.
That's right. So no, that's not true. But I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah. This is like the culmination of everything I've ever learned on this journey. Mm-hmm. It's Wealth Hacker Conference. This is we're not cheating anything. We're not doing anything illegal. This is just the fastest path to becoming financially comfortable. That I've learned along the way. So that's what we're trying to educate folks on and give people tools so they can walk away with like being better off.
Yeah.
And have tools to hopefully take better control of their own financial futures. Mm-hmm. Right.
Awesome. Yeah.
So for anyone listening, watching, event planning isn't it. Mm-hmm. Hosting your own events.
It's a little bit true. I know. It's a very challenging career.
Yeah. Because imagine how much you leave in the hole if you have to pay yourself for the level of talent and quality and skill that you're delivering, and all the OT.
I know. I feel like one day someone should just come and write me a giant check and let me go on my merry way. No, it's, you know what, I think I've always been a person who's just been really comfortable with not that much. Like I don't live a big fancy life in like my home life, you know, and but I love it. Like I do love my life, and I do love, you know, the people I get to meet, and I do love the experiences I get to have, and I get to have a very extraordinary life without having a huge income necessarily. But I don't know, and that to me is worth more than any, you know, pot of gold I could ever find, right? So
I'm trying to say thank you for sharing all this, because I think just in general, everyone's looking for fast.
Yeah.
Quick returns, quick money.
Yeah, and right. Sorry, I'm just plugging in here. You know what? It's true. I see it a lot, and I try to really advise people as much as possible away from that mentality, because it's really the fastest way to
ruin
unhappiness. You know, like, I don't know. I feel people focus on it too much, and then they don't achieve it, or they get frustrated, or it just doesn't give them what they want. Right, you know, right. Like I've had, you know, I've never, you know, been poor. I don't think, like, it's not like I've been in this like impoverished life, and I lived a very comfortable life growing up, and in my earlier part of my career. But you know, it was never exciting or filled with love or anything like that because I had money or not. You know, it was always the people around me, or the friends, the family, the times I got to. And I know that sounds so cliche, and I don't mean to be this like idealistic cliche person all the time, but I feel like it's really hard to truly communicate that to people who really want to earn money, who are in that mindset. If you're in that mindset, it's very hard to convince them otherwise until they've learned it themselves. But I don't know. Have always been quite content with where I am and the process, the journey, whatever. Yeah.
So I've actually seen a lot of I've seen a lot of real estate investors try to put together small events like meetup.com type things. Yeah, they advertise on Facebook. I know people who run events for like 200 and they don't make any money doing these things. What is your advice to these people?
Well,
actually, let me give some more context as well, because where it does work out well is, for example, I've had guests on this podcast like Brady McDonald and Christy McDonald, for example. They used to host meetups, and then they'd find business there. They would meet people that would want to purchase property with them. But on the other side of it is, I know people who've been doing it for a little longer, who are doing it for extended periods. And then what ended up happening was guests would just eat the free food and do no business.
I've seen that happen. You know, event planning is hard. If you're doing it to earn money, stop now. Like I mean, like, unless it's your business, like mine. But I mean, really, I look at those types of events, and those events are really just extensions of your marketing initiatives, right? So really, I look at them as value adds. So you're trying to build your community. So I always say, everyone should have a vision and a mission vision, whatever you want to call it, and a purpose for their business, right? So your purpose is to help people create more wealth and learn how to live comfortably, and all those things you were saying, and understand the whole dynamic of wealth building, and that's your mission. So you're building a community around that, right? So you've run a number of events. Like, I've never seen anyone do as many of the events as you. You really are an event planner. But you don't do them to earn money like every month. I think they generate some income to build into your community so that you can give back to your community. But you make your money on real estate and different things, I know. And that's really your main business. Like it should just really be seen as an extension of your marketing. And marketing initiatives are always on the wrong side of the ledger, right? Like they always cost money. Right. And, if you're buying ads or if you're, but always try to make sure there's an ROI. Like you don't want to just have an event to have an event and hopefully people will buy money or buy tickets and you'll make some money, because that's really not it. You really want to see it as an opportunity to reach out to your community or potential customers or clients. And if people aren't coming, then I would say stop doing the events and figure out how to make sure they are there.
Right. Yeah. Actually, now that you mentioned it, actually I understand where folks go wrong is like we first started it so we could see our clients more often. In this world, we're all busy. Social media, internet, TV, Netflix, we're all too busy. Family, right? Yeah. For a lot of good reasons, we're busy. But then we started hosting events live in person, and then an extension of that was our marketing. You're new to this, come hang out. But for where I think people are struggling with it is the most is they're doing it purely for lead generation.
Yeah.
So they don't already have income. They're relying on this to create income. And that's probably what they're failing with it.
100%. Because you really have to see it as just an opportunity to build your community, build relationships. And it's really a value add for quite a long time. You'll never see a return. You won't see a return on it right away either.
Right.
You have to kind of give it some time. And I think people host one event and maybe they see something, maybe they don't. And they're like, well, I'm never doing this again. Right. Well, you've given it any time. It's a relationship building opportunity. It's meaningful that way. So,
in this world, in this current climate, I don't know if it's gotten easier or worse. It just feels difficult. It feels more difficult than ever is to get people's attention. And then I was thinking with Haste and Hustle, for example, like I think you mentioned you had plans to expand to host Haste and Hustle also in one of the U.S. cities as well.
Yep.
Right. And then
that's the plan. We're heading to LA.
Is you're announcing it now? You're sharing publicly?
I mean, we're just you can know it's not a secret, but we haven't got anything really planned. We're just in the process of putting down some roots there, meeting a few people. I was there a couple of weeks ago, met up with some great connectors, and I don't know. And I am working on another event for a partner of mine, all around podcasting, actually. And so we are doing that in LA, and it's sort of a part of Haste and Hustle. So yeah, we're getting there. It's just not, it's half baked at this point.
Right. But the expansion will allow you to probably generate more income.
Yeah. So where you do make, a profit off of events and a community like this is, hey, once you've done it enough, I think this year we'll really start to see a genuine profit. However, it's when you start to scale into more events. So, we want Haste and Hustle to be an international brand. And we have a lot of people in the States who follow us and connect in with us. And LA is just a really good market right now for us. We have connections there, and it makes sense. So off we go.
I'll come to Austin to hear Tim Ferriss speak at your event.
Pardon me?
I'll come to Austin to see Tim Ferriss speak at your event.
If only we could get him. He, apparently he only does events in Austin now.
Yeah, he needs to come up with a new book and need help promoting it. Maybe that's the seed you should plant. Tim, you need another book.
I know.
We'll buy 5,000 copies if you come to Toronto.
What I think? Do you know who Jason Gaynard is?
Yeah, that's why I'm making these jokes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure if you knew, or if you were just like super in tune with Tim Ferriss. No, yeah, I think that's kind of a funny story.
That is a funny story, and actually, it's just to share it with listeners. When friends influence people. How did Jason Gaynor from Toronto get Tim Ferriss to Toronto? Right, he was living in California probably at the time. How did you get, possibly one of the biggest names in entrepreneurship to Toronto? And that was because Jason was willing to solve a problem for him. Tim needed help promoting his book and book sales, and that's what Jason did. He raised money to buy, I don't know how many, but I imagine it was a significant amount.
It was. I think it was 5,000. I know he still has a lot in his garage. Or so he told me last year. I don't know.
Yeah, Shauna's friends with Jason Gaynard and everyone else at EO and Entrepreneurs Organization and YPO, apparently. Young Presidents Organization. For anyone who doesn't know, for example, if anyone's out there looking for like a high-end networking group, Entrepreneurs Organization, shout out to Entrepreneurs Organization and Young Presidents Organization. If you're a high-end entrepreneur as well, these are good places.
YPO is, significant. I think you have to do something like 50 million in revenue a year to be accepted in that, and huge fees and all that stuff. But EO is the feeder organization into YPO.
Oh, I didn't know it was structured that way. Okay.
And then there's EOA, which is the feeder into EO.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, they're all great for various reasons. And I think you have to be under 45 to join YPO? For YPO when you join. Right. But then you can stay as long as you like.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and then who knows what happens to you.
I think
OPO. Old Presidents Organization. Anyway.
I'd actually love to ask the EO folks, especially the Toronto organization, what is the percentage of real estate investors they have now, especially compared to like 20 years ago? Because it's funny, because all the EO people I know are from real estate backgrounds.
That's funny. Should find out. I know that we definitely get a huge percentage of real estate folks at Haste and Hustle. It's one of my biggest markets.
Yeah, we got to affiliate.
It's crazy. I part of it was because my mastermind group is with a guy named Brian Scrone.
Yeah,
I think he's been on your show. And
no, he didn't respond to me. I bought him dinner too.
Brian.
Yeah, when he was in Toronto for Investor Forum.
Oh,
yeah, we all did it together with Ian and Dion. And damn,
those are my people: Dion, Beg, and Ian, Szabo, and then there's a couple of others. A guy down in Philadelphia named Mike Tomasetti, and this guy named Jamie Paradise, and they're all real estate people. So I'm in this mastermind group, and there's a couple of other people, but mostly real estate. And so I got connected into that community. And then when I was doing Haste and Hustle, Ian was like my human savior who like came and helped us sell tickets when we were struggling at the end, or like in January. The event was in February, and we needed to have like a bit of a boost. He came in and just like kicked butt, and helped so much. And he's a beautiful human, and then Dion is all, they're just like the most amazing people. And so Brian,
I kind of Brian and Jim are pretty cool.
Pardon me?
Jim and Brian are pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I also got connected in through Tahani, and I don't know. I just have this like amazing network of really cool real estate investors in my life.
Because investors are just another form of entrepreneur. It's just the industry that we chose. We're all pragmatists in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of people listening are trying to start businesses. Actually, it's what I find common among many investors is they're looking for income replacement from they want to stop working and they want to do something else. I see a lot of folks trying the e-commerce route. I know people are trying the real estate route, which really often means trying to flip houses for active income. What are the challenges for new entrepreneurs that you're seeing? I'm sure you get lots of questions on this.
I do. I see lack of patience and too high expectations for what they can do. So people want to quit their day job and start a business and hustle really hard for a couple of years and then buy a Ferrari and drive off into the sunset. Like there's just been a disconnect along the way. I think a part of it is through a lot of like what you see online. And I just drives me a bit crazy because it's like in no real world is that realistic, because there's so much that goes into building a business, and so I think people just lack that patience. And so when they don't achieve, something, in the time frame that they're expecting, they lose focus, they lose motivation, they lose whatever, and they stop or they change or they and then when they change, they start something new and then they expect the same thing and then that doesn't work and then they start something new. And I think it also contributes to mental health problems too, because people get really depressed around that, right? And they don't know how to navigate those waters. And I think the trick is, like I go through periods of time where it's super hard. Like, I mean, even after Haste and Hustle last year, even though it was like really, really great, and we had a few challenges for sure, but like it did go off really, really well, and I was so happy, and we had tons of people there and all that stuff. I was still super, super depressed for like 2 months, and I don't know why. Like I don't know exactly why, and I went through this like really, really hard time, and so I think, but I've kind of worked through it, and I tend to be that person who I can go through those dips, and there goes my son, sorry. Oh yeah, I went had it. They go through I can go through the dips, and I can see them through. Like I can get through them. Sometimes it's like you don't really see it, but you have to be willing to kind of get through the dips and just keep going. Like what's that quote where it's I think it was Winston Churchill or someone who said, if you're going through hell, just keep going. And I remember thinking, I read that quote a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking, that is so true. Like, you just have to keep going to get through it. And then it usually gets better. I've always found that it gets better. So I think that there's a little bit of that too. People just don't have the persistence through the hard times. And the hard times can last, more than a year sometimes, or a couple of years, or a couple of months, or, sometimes it's just, I don't know. I think it's perseverance through the hard stuff.
Do you have a coach or mentor for this stuff?
Do I?
Yeah.
Heck no.
You're crazy.
Pardon me?
You're crazy. You're crazy. I have a different mindset than you. I'm much more. I had never considered myself like a high S or a high C in the disc profile as in someone that needs lots of processes and stuff. But wow, the unknown scares the crap out of me.
I noticed that.
I like predictability in some things.
I feel like I just live in a world of the unknown. I really do.
Yeah. How much notice did you have before your planned meeting with the leader of India?
That was something so
72 hours?
Yeah, I actually didn't really know because so what happened there is I was going with this group. And it was actually so funny. It was called the Indian Leadership Conclave. And it was being run by this guy that I know, who's amazing. And I was listed on it as a speaker. I was a speaker. And I was listed as one of India's top leaders. And I was like, wow, I've never even been to India, and I'm already a top leader in their country. Or I forgot what the actual term was, but it was really funny. But I remember thinking, okay, this event looks great from the outside. They're promising it's being held at the Ministry of Foreign Trade in Delhi. There's some I know some amazing people that are going from here. There's a great outline. We're supposed to be meeting with these world leaders, including the president and various others. I can't remember. But what ended up happening is, there was that terrorism activity that happened, not in Delhi, but in the northern part of the country that challenged it was challenging because all the government buildings shut down, including the one we were supposed to be in. So part of the conference got altered. But I don't actually think, I'm being fully honest here, I actually don't think that the president was ever really a guest. I think it was a miscommunication. It was this other really high-level diplomat. Forget who it was, but anyway. And so then, with the terrorism, they kind of just blamed it all on that. And so I think it just ended up being that way. But I mean, to me, meeting the president of India is I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's an honor for sure. But I have no business with the president of India. I'm never going to be yo, whatever your name is. I don't even know his name. You want to do some business, or do you want to come to an event, or do you want to be a speaker? probably never.
Right.
So I get more, so it doesn't even faze me. Like I would have shaken his hand and said hello or whatever you do. But, that's something. I've been meeting diplomats and whatnot forever. But it's more exciting when, okay, I know that sounds terrible. Sorry.
That's normal.
But it's
Michelle Obama's texting me. I'll get back to her later.
She commented on our thing. No, but the real interesting meetings to me, and the ones that I kind of get nervous about, are meetings with, people that I consider business leaders. Like I was really nervous to meet Gary the first time I went down to his office to interview him, and oh my gosh, I was like shaking in my boots, even though I had met him already at my event. I went down and did an interview with him, and I honestly couldn't even speak properly. Like I couldn't, and I'm not like that. Like I'm normally very comfortable all the time, and I can talk to anybody. I don't really get nervous around people at all. I don't care who they are. And for whatever reason, I think I just admire him and appreciate him so much. I just and then the other times that I've met him too, same thing. I remember him looking at me across the desk, and he puts his hands on the desk and he says, "What's up?" And it was the day after the Super Bowl. So he's normally really, really chatty, but I went to meet him the day after the Super Bowl last year, and he'd flown back in that morning or late the night before, and he was obviously very tired. And so he just said, "What's up?" And I was like tongue-tied. I didn't even know what to say. And I had a full reason to be there with a full, purpose and everything. But I got so tongue-tied, and I think it's out of admiration and excitement and appreciation. And so, yeah. Anyway, I know that's a really long answer about the president of India, but I just think it's more interesting to me to meet those kind of people.
Interesting, because yesterday my guest Corey was saying if he's in a meeting with Grant Cardone, he says he just zips his lip.
Yeah.
Because he feels he has nothing to contribute. He just wants to hear the knowledge bombs.
Well, I guess that's sort of true. I mean, Gary definitely drops the bombs on me. He actually said some of the funniest things to me that I had to remove from our video because they were so inappropriate. Not bad inappropriate, just funny comments that I wasn't sure if my audience would take properly because it was out of context. But
right.
I don't want to mislead you. Anyway, but it's true. He does have so much to offer. But at the same time, if you're there to meet with someone for a business purpose, you still have to communicate and speak. It's just, I do. I get a little more nervous around him. And I think that's it. Most people, I can pretty much have a conversation with almost anyone.
You're cool with Grant Cardone then when you have to talk to him?
Yeah.
You have to receive him?
You know what? He reminds me of Gary in his kind of gregariousness, if that's a word. He seems to me like someone who's just, all up in your face and talk and all about himself, whatever. And I think that'll be fun. He seems like a really fun guy. Anyway, so I don't think I'll be nervous, but who knows? Maybe I will.
Because I believe it'll be Grant and Captain Ryan and possibly Jared are coming as well.
Awesome.
I'm sure. I don't know. It's just far away, so we don't know exactly who's going to be coming. It could be all Grant's family, including his wife.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. What would you want to ask her?
I don't know. That's a good question. The thing I like about her is that I think she's definitely she's very different than me. I don't relate to her on any level. She's this supermodel actress, super rich, but she does all these really unique things. She loves to shoot guns and go to Target, and I find that so fascinating because I've always been really tomboyish in a lot of things. I do a lot of kind of.
You shoot guns.
Yeah. Not on a regular basis, but I find it fascinating. And so I think I think it's really interesting when women can embrace that side very comfortably. And I think we all should be able to. I just think sometimes we shy away from it. And so I don't know. I just think she seems cool. I think her life is probably pretty interesting in some levels, but I think there's probably a lot of stuff we don't see. And I can be lonely in a position where she's at, even though it looks exciting and full of life and whatnot. But I imagine that there's some quietness and challenges to being in the spotlight that, and to be doing things like she's doing that kind of rile people up sometimes.
I think she's cool because I remember I was on a call with Grant along with a couple hundred other people. I wasn't the only one on the call with Grant, but Grant hadn't arrived yet, so she was sitting in.
Yeah,
and she's more than capable.
Oh yeah, team is really, really a big part of their business.
Yeah, exactly. And how cool is that? Like,
I know.
His partner in life can also be partner in business.
I know. Well, look at you guys. I mean, you and Sherry, I know you're not quite the same, but like, I think that's important, like, it's nice. It's a really nice comparison. And I think, it's interesting because I see a lot of married people, and that's a very common situation where a partner will have a really big impact, maybe just in a quieter way, on a person's success. And I think that they don't necessarily get the credit for it. And so maybe she's just doing more things that we realize, or maybe she's had impacts on Grant in ways we don't even realize. And I think that's cool. I think there's always more than we see, right?
Grant shared this one story. It's a little bit off color, but I think she was pissed off at Grant because Grant wouldn't shut up about a book he was going to write. He said he'd write it. Yeah. It had been too long. And then she said, she said, you can have anything you want if that book is written. Grant jokes he had the book written in 24 hours later. Yeah. And then 9 months later, they had their first child.
That's so funny. Well, I guess there's a little bit of that too. I mean, she's pretty beautiful.
Well, yeah, she's an actress. Former actress.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm sure she's done some modeling too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
If you look at her Instagram, she looks like a model. Yeah. So, I was going to ask you about real estate. Okay, so hey, when you're flush with cash, what are you going to do with it? We have this box to check off.
No. It's funny because I have been, like I said, with this mastermind group for a while, and I've got all these people in my life, and talking about real estate all the time. And it's, I read about it and I think about it, and I know that it's definitely in the cards probably sooner than later. Like I would say within the next 2 years to start doing some investing there. And I think I'm a huge believer in real estate. When you look around the world at people who have the greatest wealth, they all are massive landowners and homeowners or whatever you want to call it. And so I think, or real estate in general. So I see it as something that's super lucrative, but also just stable and smart and checks all the boxes, to kind of refer to your analogy, right? Like it really does. And it appeals to me because I've never been one of those people who's like just tried to be like the fast money is the only money, right? Like, and I think there's too many people out there saying, okay, well, where am I going to make my first or my fastest million? I'm going to invest in the stock market and next year I'll have all this money, or I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and tomorrow I'll be a Bitcoin billionaire or whatever. And not that I don't support some of those things, I just don't support them in a way that I think, man, I'm going to do this and I'm going to suddenly have all this wealth. Like I'm much bigger believer in the wealth is built over time, and that's the greatest asset you have. And so and I know that you can generate some quick returns on real estate. I do get that, but I think over time is when you really make the real money.
Yeah,
am I wrong? I don't even know. Maybe I'm like spouting off and I don't even know.
Well, the market's done quite well. I don't think I would tell anyone that. Like, just look around you. You live in Grimsby. I was telling people to buy in Grimsby like 4 years ago when stuff was like, when townhouses were still like 230 grand. Now they're all 500 grand. Was that a good investment?
Yeah.
Pretty easy answer. But yeah, whenever you're ready, I can show you my Airbnb if you want. Or I can show you my ugly property. my student rental near my master.
Well, yeah,
because you're just loaded with free time.
Yeah, just spend days doing that. No, I do. I like the idea, and you're right. Grimsby's like booming. It's still booming. It's still going up. Like, I don't know. I don't even think there's anything under 300,000 here now.
I'd be surprised. They're probably falling apart because we looked around. We were looking for our very popular strategy for myself and our clients is to buy bungalows that we can put our apartments into in the basement. Mm-hmm. But I find a lot of Grimsby is either really old, so they weren't of that era, or very new. Like I look at your townhouse behind you, so your home behind you, and I can tell it's pretty new.
Yeah, I think it was built in the 80s. These houses.
Yeah. In my context, that's pretty new. I meant that for the listeners' benefit, not for you.
It's true. Grimsby has a lot of like brand new stuff too. It's grown. Like I grew up here, and I remember when the population sign said 12,000. Now it says 35. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I grew up on a peach orchard, and now it's all subdivision. And most of the orchards are all taken up by houses now. No more soft-skinned fruit for us. Yeah, sad. It is sad.
Well, global warming will create us more growable land.
Oh man.
So, Shauna, we're over time.
Are we over time?
Yeah, we're over time. Where can folks learn about Haste and Hustle if they want to buy a ticket to Richard Branson and a whole bunch of speakers who are all around the subject of entrepreneurship? Actually, share the vision. Share the vision one more time for attendees of Haste and Hustle.
Sure. So our vision is to serve and support entrepreneurs by building out events that provide a very wide range of information all around the early stages of entrepreneurship that help and support you on your journey to success. Mm-hmm. You need to learn about accounting early on, or you need to learn about things you don't.
Accountant, I can speak.
Yeah. Cybersecurity is something that we are talking about that no one's talking about. And, like all the things that early stage entrepreneurs can't necessarily afford to hire the professionals to do right off the bat. So they have to learn some of the basics to kind of get through those first few years. Well, we provide that information, and then we provide a lot of resources. And anyway, hasteandhustle.com or Haste and Hustle on any of the social media platforms. We're all there. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. And then it's not a criticism. And I don't follow a lot of like Gary Vee's material, for example. Does he talk about like eventually making people an offer and selling them something? Or is it just document everything you do and then figure it out from there?
He talks about strictly just giving value on the extreme, constantly just giving value.
Yeah, he gives away his books.
Yeah.
He's hardcore.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff to just give it all away, and then ultimately that's generated huge returens for him. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. On the backside of that.
Right.
People
VaynerMedia,
yeah, he's done an amazing job there. So he never does any kind of offer or anything like that.
The people know about it, and then they eventually reach out for that or to
Awesome. Yeah, I wouldn't even know what an offer looks like from him. Mm-hmm. Now that I think about it, it's interesting. It's a very interesting tactic. I think he's one of the few people in any industry who plays the game the way he plays it. Yeah. But I think that's why he's successful, because he's such a wild card. And people respond to goodness. Right. And that's what he gives. He just gives so much goodness. Now, he can be a pretty harsh critic sometimes. Oh my gosh,
he like quite fair.
Yeah, but he's only saying it if you listen, it's like literally done out of like love and genuine concern. Because there was this guy who came to my event the first year, and he was like, if I do a backflip for you here on the stage, will you hire me as an intern or something? I forget exactly. And it's become like an ongoing meme. I even saw it on Gary's thing, social last week. And he was like, why would I do that? Like, he's like, what value do I get out of you doing a backflip? And he was like trying to teach this guy, like, you have to provide genuine good value. Like, it can't just be something, like a little moment of entertainment. That's nothing, right? Like, there has to be some ongoing value. And he just like lambasted this guy, Pedro was his name, in front of my whole audience. But it ended up being a bit funny. But I just remember thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, he's harsh. But at the same time, the value that he provided as a guy was like a life lesson he'll never forget. And it was so right. Like, he wasn't wrong.
Right.
So sometimes his delivery is a little bit, but mostly it's awesome.
If I was Pedro, I'd love that. I cherish that video and post it everywhere.
Everywhere. Let me tell you, I see it all the time because Gary reposts that talk, because the talk he did at Haste and Hustle is his most viewed talk of all time.
Okay.
Yeah, by a landslide. So he reposts content from it all the time because it was such a good. Yeah, it was one of his best talks ever. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Shauna, yeah, you're a rock star.
Well, thanks.
It's like close to my bedtime, and I'm just tired thinking about your schedule.
Yeah, I still have a couple hours of work to do.
Okay. I won't keep you from it any longer. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll talk soon, and we'll have a great event with Grant Cardone.
Thank you. One last time, hasteandhustle.com.
Thanks, Aaron. Bye.
Thank you.